New cars are awesome with all their tech and features and performance, but there are some things about new cars that aren't so great. Today, we're talking about the car trends that need to die, because some design choices in modern cars are downright infuriating, from tech that's ruining the looks to features that literally nobody asked for. Let's get into it. Let's start with the trends that affect how new cars look. Don't worry, we'll get to the annoying parts of interacting with new cars in a moment. Autonomous emergency braking is a great safety feature and probably helps prevent thousands of accidents. That's why in some countries it's now mandatory on all new cars. But making it work usually involves a big sensor box bolted to the car's face. And let's be honest, they look terrible. Now we've got Audis that look like high-end undercover police cars, like the A6, or the current Aston Martin DB12 that looks like it has a split lip. The worst part? The most expensive cars often look the worst. Just look at the Mercedes-AMG S63, or the Ferrari Roma with that big ugly box in its lower grille. I totally get the benefit of the system, but is that really the only way to get the job done? I mean, for the love of God, just find a way to hide it better. Safety regulations aren't just making cars uglier, they're also killing off some of the best looking cars completely. Take the Toyota GR86 for example. By the end of this year, it'll be gone, at least in all markets outside of North America. Toyota would have to completely re-engineer it to pass the new updated safety regulations surrounding advanced safety technology. These rules aren't just making cars look bad, they're causing some of the coolest cars to disappear entirely. Next, let's talk about wheels. There's a law that says wheels can't be exposed beyond the edge of the bodywork. And it makes sense. The idea is that your tires are less likely to throw rocks at traffic and pedestrians while driving, and in the event your car comes into contact with something on the side, it's less likely that you'll drive up another car or guardrail or whatever, which could result in the vehicle flipping over. So, how do car companies get around increasing track width and staying legal? Not by making the cars wider, that would require re-engineering the bodies, and that's expensive. Instead, they tack on these plastic flares. And we're not talking about like actual fender extensions on sportier models like a number of BMWs or the Honda Civic Type R. I mean on everyday cars like the Honda CR-V, Polestar 2, Mini Countryman, and Volvo C40. They're functional, but they don't look great. Take a trip down memory lane 20 years ago and look at a second-generation Honda Civic. The mirrors were tiny, like the ears of a mouse. But now, regulations demand mirrors of a certain size. It's resulted in modern-day behemoths like the Ford F-150 and Cadillac Escalade rolling around with mirrors the size of dinner plates. Even smaller cars haven't escaped this fate. Take the Chevrolet Bolt EV, for instance. It's a slick little electric car, but its mirrors look ridiculous. Also, what happened to simple door handles? I get there's an efficiency bonus by hiding them away and making them perfectly flush with the door, and on the surface, it is kind of an impressive feature for a little while, having your door handles pop out and greet you. Problem is, they act up all the time. And if you've ever lived with a car that has handles like these, chances are you know just how annoying they can be. Maybe I'm old school, but please give us back simple door handles. In most of the world, sharp edges on cars are a big no-no. This is why you won't see the Tesla Cybertruck on the roads there unless Elon decides to wrap the whole thing in bubble wrap. But did you know that these regulations also apply to the rear of cars, affecting things like exhaust design? Again, it makes sense. It's for pedestrian safety. I mean, it's part of the reason Cadillacs started losing their huge rear fins in the early 60s. Apparently kids were getting impaled or something. But it's led to tucked away exhaust pipes on models like the new Mercedes-AMG C63 or the faux exhaust designs found on the Mazda 3. Then there are the beveled exhaust tips seen on everything from the Mini Countryman to the Aston Martin DBX. How often do they think we're backing into things anyway? Let's talk lights. Daytime running lights are a legal must. Car makers, in their quest for distinctiveness, have turned these DRLs into a design free-for-all. The Hyundai Kona has lights that resemble cryptic symbols from a scientific calculator, and the facelifted Audi Q8 now features programmable DRLs. Why? Who knows? The VW ID4 has a thin, bright strip across its entire nose, making it look like you've borrowed a fluorescent tube from your grandma's kitchen. And the new light-up emblems from Mercedes and Audi and even Ford, well, they're just not for me. But it's not just the DRLs. There's a law that requires front, rear, and side lights cannot be mounted to anything on the car that moves, and you must be able to see the rear lights even when the tailgate is open. This design quirk shows up in the Chevrolet Suburban, Audi Q7, and even the Bentley Bentayga, all featuring extra rear bumper lights that are harder to see and easier to damage in a parking lot scuffle. They're also kind of an eyesore. It's a lose-lose situation. Some manufacturers like BMW with the iX have tried to solve this by adding additional lights inside the trunk. It's tidier than having extra lights on the bumper, but it kinda makes your car look like it's giving birth to another car. Pedestrian impact regulations dictate that there must be a minimum gap between the car's skin and the hard parts underneath, like the engine or the bulkhead, and it's resulted in cars with front ends that look kind of bloated. Additionally, there needs to be a cavity between the nose and the metal radiator, which is often visible when the light hits just right. It's not a great look, but it's hopefully saving lives. Next up are fake grills on EVs. There's no law requiring fake grills, but the looming 2035 ban on internal combustion engines in many places has automakers scrambling to mainstream their brand's identities with electric vehicles. EVs don't need traditional grills, yet we're seeing hideous fake grille designs on everything from the Audi e-tron to the monstrosity on the Maybach EQS, and even the puzzling design on Alfa Romeo's upcoming EV. What's the deal with that? Laws governing vehicle efficiency and emissions are turning car designs into blobs. In the pursuit of aerodynamics and range, we get soap bar lookalikes like the Mercedes EQS and EQE, and the Tesla Model Y, which sort of just looks like a giant computer mouse. Safety and headlight height regulations have led to a sea of lookalikes. Medium SUVs, for instance, all seem to blend into one another. The Audi Q5, Mazda CX-5, Ford Escape, and VW Tiguan. They're as indistinguishable as NPCs in a video game.
I used to have a unique design language.
Then I took an arrow in the knee.
With design trends out of the way, let's hit my personal top 3 functional grievances that I can't stand. And frankly, they need to stop. Starting with manufacturers getting rid of all the buttons. Remember when you could just adjust your car's climate controls or change the stereo volume without taking your eyes off the road? Yeah, those were the days. Nowadays, car makers seem to have a vendetta against physical buttons. Everything is touch sensitive or buried in menus on a touchscreen. Want to change the temperature? Swipe, tap, scroll, and hope you don't crash in the process. It's especially maddening when you just want to turn up your favorite song that just came on the radio and you end up activating the seat heaters. Come on, guys. Some things are best left simple. Oh, haptic feedback buttons. They're supposed to mimic the feel of pressing a real button, but end up being about as satisfying as pressing a picture of one. These pseudo buttons are often unresponsive and provide no real tangible feedback, leading to multiple frustrating attempts to perform a single function. You might think you're pressing the button to actually get something done, but no. You're just caressing a bit of plastic that does nothing unless you hit it just right.
Volkswagen has gotten rid of every single physical button, apparently completely unaware that every car company that's done this has had to put them back in for the next generation.
We miss the days when buttons clicked and physically moved and you knew they worked. New safety regulations are great for keeping us safe, but some of them are a real pain. Take lane keeping assist and auto stop start and even speed limiters, for instance. Every time you start your car, some of these features are enabled by default. So if you prefer to drive without your car tugging at the wheel or shutting off at every stoplight, you have to go through a series of button presses to disable them every single time. It's like a game of whack-a-mole with your dashboard. Can we please just have a setting to remember our preferences?
No.
And there we have it, the car trends that seriously need to die. Whether it's the disappearance of physical buttons, the invasion of haptic feedback, or the relentless safety features that never take a day off, modern cars are filled with frustrating quirks that drive us up a wall. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, it really helps us out. Go check out more of our content right over here or there, and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this coming along very soon. Otherwise, my name's Trav, this is Ideal, thank you for watching, I'll see you all next week.